Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about a brand new series called Prince of Wrath. So, let's begin. So, let's begin with a certain demon lord, or Prince of Hell. His name is Azazel, the rightful leader of the Wrath Ring, or the Circle of Wrath. Azazel was, a bit of a tyrant. Not as mean as the other demon lords or princes of hell. To be frank, he's basically like a gentle giant, at least to his friends. As in friends, I mean the people that are like basically the same status as him. So, when he found out about the rest of the demon lords or princes of hell finally found some women to basically make their children with and basically make their heirs. Well, Azazel was, to be frank, pretty lonely. He wanted, somebody to love him, but not in the, respectful and being afraid way. His citizens in the Wrath Ring, well, were respectful people, but when they respected, Azazel, they didn't respect him because he was, a great person or, a respected, king of the Wrath Ring. He's respected because, he's terrifying. One, if 1,000 demons try to attack him, or like angels, they would be destroyed in an instant. They're afraid of him. But Azazel wants to be loved. So, he decides to try and find a queen for himself. So, he goes to a certain place in the mortal world known as Japan. He thinks that, that country seems to be nice. He also loves the food there. Mostly sushi and stuff like that. But his favorite food there is mochi. So, when he gets there, Azazel meets a girl. Her name was Inko Midoriya. So, after meeting her, he decides to, tell her, his secret. That he isn't, a human. She accepted it as they become pretty close. Close, in fact, that she decides to marry, Azazel. After marrying him, they decide to go to hell and become the the king and queen of, the Wrath Ring. The demons of hell and the rest of the demon lords were pretty much, supporting of their relationship. Except for one. His name was Satan. You probably know Satan from another name for Lucifer, even though Lucifer and Satan are not really the same people. Satan is the dragon that, attacked heaven, in the, rebellion against, God. So, Lucifer is basically, making a party for, Inko and Azazel because apparently, Inko is pregnant. He's pretty happy about that for, for the Prince of Lust, aka, Asmodeus. He's really excited because, he's, the Prince of, Lust because he loves lust. Not only that, he's also okay with childbirth. And because of that, he believes that, Inko is going to have a great child with, Azazel. For the other Princes of Hell, they're pretty much okay. But for Satan, he doesn't like it. He believes that humans, angels, and other races, except for the demons, are greater than, any other races, than, anywhere. They, he believes that any other races that try to breed or try to marry into their own species, aka the demons, he doesn't like it. He considers that a taboo, a disgusting taboo, in fact, to the point that when he sees Inko, he starts scoffing at her, saying to himself that Inko should die, and that half breed that she made with Azazel is a disgusting, disgusting thing. So, when the party basically begins, well, Azazel was really happy. With the rest of the demon lords, they're basically celebrating. Some even getting a little bit drunk, some even a little bit of rough housing, I guess. As when Inka was about to give birth, they see the brand new birth of the soon to become Prince of Wrath, Izuku. Izuku, instead of, well, having, well, this usual, well, green eyes, one of his eyes is purple with a little bit of red. As Azazel says this, Izuku, you're absolutely adorable. So what do you think of that name, Inko? As Inko says this, it's quite a beautiful name, Azazel. So they kind of cuddle a little bit as wait for a second. As Belphegor says this, right, let's have some fun as he brings out like a large bottle of champagne as they started drinking. After all, not Azazel, I meant Belphegor is a demon of sloth. Even though he's a demon of sloth, he absolutely loves anything that entertains him. So he starts dancing. As for the other demon lords, like for example Beelzebub, he starts gobbling up all of the food. As Azazel says this, yeesh, you really need to stop eating. As Beelzebub says this, I don't care, it's so good. As he starts like swallowing like a whole like turkey. For Satan, he's completely disgusted, thinking that Inko and Izuku should die. So when the party is basically done, well, wait for a second. The rest of the demon lords basically started getting out of the castle of of Azazel and Inko. So when Satan was there, he goes into the chambers of Izuku, still a baby by the way, with his gigantic horns. He says this, "You disgusting half-breed." He brings out a blade as he says this, "Time to die, you half-breed." As they, as in they, I mean, Inko and Azazel hear crying. They come to the chambers of Izuku as Azazel sees Satan wielding a knife and also grabs Izuku by the neck. Still a baby by the way. As Azazel says this, "What are you doing, Satan?" As Satan says this, "That half-breed, he deserves to die," as he gets ready to stab Izuku with the knife. As Azazel blocks it, as he grabs Izuku and puts him back in the crib. So Azazel brings out his golden, or at least his how do I say it, rusted gold. It's basically like a dirty gold colored wings. Yeah, his wings are like dirty gold colored. So he grabs him as he flies him up into the skies of hell. As he says this, "You dare try and hurt my child. You're a low-ranking demon. Remember, Satan?" As Satan says this, "This is unfair. D- you, you disgust me, Azazel. You're a disgrace to our kind." Oh, sweet lord, wait for a second. When Satan said that, well, Azazel was not happy. In fact, his eyes, instead of being, well, red, it turns purple. Purple is mostly associated with, well, royalty. And because Azazel is a demon prince, well, it means that he's about to use a really powerful attack or spell. So, he brings out his large blade as Azazel, as in, I meant, yeah, Azazel says this: "You dare call my child a horrible disgrace, and you call me a disgrace to our own kind, Satan? Now, you're surely gonna pay for that." He throws, well, Satan up into the sky. As Satan says this, "Please have mercy." As well, wait for a second again. As Azazel says this, "Nobody calls my child a horrible disgrace." As he stabs, well, Satan, well, in the chest, killing him and causing him to fall down to the ground. His blade is a holy weapon, by the way, and holy weapons are the weaknesses, or one of the weaknesses of, well, a demon. And well, it's also quite a drawback. As in drawback, I mean, well, if a angel gets stabbed by a, well, by a holy weapon, it doesn't really work unless if it's the demonic weapon. Wait for a second. Unless it's if a, well, if it's a demonic weapon. So, angels' weaknesses are basically well, demonic weapons, and for demons, their weaknesses are basically just a angelic weapon, like that sword that Azazel wields. So, when, well, Satan fell down to the ground, he says this: "I curse you, I curse you, Azazel." He dies. The rest of the citizens of, well, of the city of, well, Wrath are basically terrified. As Azazel says this: "Nobody touches my wife or my child, and anybody that tries to kill them or hurt them in any way, I will end you." The demons that are basically below, well, Azazel right now basically agree as they start shaking their heads profusely as they started running away. So, Azazel goes back to Inko as Inko says this: "Oh, Azazel." As, well, Azazel says this: "Don't worry, Inko. I don't want anything to happen to our child. And also you, my love." Both of them kiss as they decide to, well, go back to sleep. As Inko says this: "Hey, Azazel, are you gonna go to sleep with me?" As Azazel says this: "Sorry, but I want to protect our child, so I'm gonna be sleeping here." As, well, Inko says this: "Okay, fine. How about I sleep with you as well?" So, they sleep together with, well, with Izuku right on, well, on the chest of, well, Azazel. So, a few years have gone by, and Izuku is now 13. Izuku is pretty much eligible to become, well, the brand new, well, leader of Wrath, or the city of Wrath. But Izuku says this to, well, to Azazel, or Izuku's father. Izuku says this: "Hello, father." As Azazel says this: "What is it, Izuku?" Izuku says this: "I want to become a hero." As he spits his coffee, including Inko, as Inko says this: "You want to become a hero? Huh, how did you know that?" As Izuku says this: "Well, I heard about that, well, in the human world. I heard that heroes are pretty strong. And that is why I want to become a hero. So I can become stronger, just like you, father. As Azazel says this, huh, you really are my son. Anyway, okay, but you need to disguise yourself. As Izuku says this, you know that in the human world now, there's things known as quirks. Maybe I should just pass out my horns as like a quirk, mutation or something. As Azazel says this, oh, quite smart. Anyway, if you want to become a hero, I'll pack all of your things. Maybe I can tell some of my, advisor demons to basically corrupt one of the, officials in the human world that's, you should go into, UA. Isaac says this. How did you know about UA? As Azazel says this. Well, it's from Inko. As Inko says this. Yeah, I wanted to go to UA, but my quirk was too weak. Isaac says this. Okay, mother. Anyway, guess I'll be going to a party later. As Azazel says this, a party? As Ziku says this, yes, apparently my cousin, wait for a second, my cousin Luther wants to, have a party, so I'm gonna be going there later. As, Azazel says this, oh yeah, Luther, Lev- wait for a second, Leviathan's kid, right? Ezekiel says this, did you seriously forgotten, father? Wait for a second again. Sorry about that. So, after, talking a little bit, Izuku starts going off to the party. So, after meeting up with Luther, Luther says this, hey Izuku, as Izuku says this, oh, hey cousin Luther. So, do you want to get in? Izuku says this, alright. So, they started going on to a boat, which, in, the Envy Ring, it's a gigantic ocean known as Kokyutos. And if you don't know that reference, well, you probably don't know about mythology. Or if you know about, Dante's, Dante's, I meant, I meant Dante Alighieri's, book known as the Inferno, which is a part of a big, trinity of books known as I think it was called wait for a second, the book series known as the Divine Comedy. Well, you probably don't get that reference. So, while Luther was basically rowing the boat, Izuku hears the screams of sinners in the at the bottom of the ocean. Izuku says this. Ah, a lovely sound, right, Luther? As Luther says this. Yeah, these sinners get what they deserved. Anyway, so, do you have a girlfriend yet, Izuku? Izuku says this. No, not yet. So, Luther, how's your girlfriend? I can't remember her name, for God's sakes. As Luther says this. Oh, you mean Lilith? She's okay, I guess. She's still, pretty mad about her ex. Izuka says this. You mean Adam? As he says this. Yeah. Adam. That asshole. So, when they get onto the gigantic ship, which is, Luther's home, they see several demons are basically partying as Leviathan arrives. As Leviathan says this, hello, Luther. As Luther says this, oh, hello, father. I'm still having my party, so can you just please leave? As Leviathan says this, oh, hello, Izuku. So, how's your father, Azazel? Izuku says this, quite okay. As, wait for a second. As Leviathan says this, okay, guess I'll be leaving now. As Izuku and, Luther say this, goodbye. So, he transforms into his more serpentine form, which, if you didn't know, Leviathan is mostly associated with, envy, and not only that, even sometimes depicted as, a gigantic sea serpent. So when he transforms into that sea serpent form, he starts going onto the beach as he starts going to, well, to the gluttony ring for a special meeting with, well, Beelzebub. So they started partying as Izuku, well, starts becoming, well, not intoxicated or drunk. It's more like, well, getting into the moment. So after done after they done dancing, Luther says this. This party is quite wild, Izuku. As Izuku says this, yeah, I'm a bit sweating actually. As Luther says this. Yeah, me too. So, what are your plans for the future of your ring? Izuku says this. Well, maybe marrying into a family. As Luther says this. Really? So, do you want to go and marry, well, a human? Just like your father married your mother? Izuku says this. Yeah, but I'm also planning to become a hero in the human world. As he says this. Wait, really? You want to become a hero? Huh. I never thought that you would ever be the hero type. I always thought of you as like the villainous type, like raw like that. As Izuku says this, you know I'm not that like a brute. Even though I'm the Prince of Wrath, or the soon become Prince of Wrath, I'm not that of a brute. As well, Luther says this. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Your father, he's a bit of a gentleman. As Izuku says this. Alright, guess I'll be leaving. Izuku brings out his rusting golden wings. Izuku starts going off as Izuku decides to, go to the gluttony ring to basically get some food. So Izuku gets a, how do I say it? Izuku gets a large, drumstick, which is from a cockatrice. If you don't know what is a cockatrice, um, just imagine a mix of a chicken and a dragon. Yeah, that's what it is. So, Izuku, while eating the chicken leg of the I meant the cockatrice. God dang it. I mean, the cockatrice and basilisk says are basically the same, but I prefer to call cockatrices as well more bird-like. So after Izuku eats the basilisk, I meant cockatrice. God dang it. So after Izuku eats that leg, Izuku starts flying off to the castle. So when Izuku arrives, well, Azazel is packing up Izuku's things. As Azazel says this. Be careful, my son. I heard that there's, angels roaming around in the human world. As Izuku says yes, father. And trust me, I can easily beat them. After all, I am your son. As Azazel says this, you really are. He pinches Izuku's cheeks, and for a while, Inko she kisses Izuku on the cheek as well. As she says this, just be careful, Izuku. I don't want you to get hurt, okay? Izuku says this, don't worry, mother. I will always be prepared. After all, Izuku creates a large halberd and a gigantic gun because Izuku's ability well Izuku's able to basically create weapons. It's basically like how Momo's quirk works, but except he's only able to create weapons. And I mean weapons. Nothing else but weapons. Like for example, swords, guns, halberds. So yeah. So Izuku says goodbye to both of them as Izuku starts flying off to the portal. As in the portal, I mean the gates. The gates are basically like a portal to the human realm, to the demon realm, or hell. So, Izuku goes there as Izuku sees, well, Abaddon, aka the gatekeeper of hell. As Abaddon says this, "Hey Izuku," as Izuku says this, "Oh, hey Mr. Abaddon." As Abaddon says this, "So you're finally gonna become a hero?" Izuku says this, "Yes, but I need a home, so..." As Abaddon says this, "Oh yeah, I think I got a place." He sets a coordinates to a a remote forest in Japan, where Izuku is going to pretend as like a wandering traveler becoming a hero. As Izuku says this, "Okay, good." So Izuku goes into the portal as he arrives at the forest. As Izuku decides to fly. So while flying, Izuku finally sees, a town. The town is quaint. The people there were pretty nice as well. They told Izuku that the city is over there in in the south. So, Izuku flies off as Izuku sees some, quirk users. Mostly with, how do I say it? Like, just regular old strength enhancing quirks and some other types of quirks mixed in. So, when Izuku finally arrives at the city is pretty big. There's so many buildings, and all of them were mostly pictures of heroes, mostly about this All Might character. Izuku says this, "All Might. Never heard of him." As one of these people hears that, as he says this, "Wait, you don't know about All Might?" Izuku says this, "Oh, that scared me." "Who are you?" As says this, "Well, I'm a big fan of All Might. You seriously don't know who is All Might? He's the number one hero." Izuku says this, "Number one hero, eh? Huh." As he says this, "Yeah, he's like really powerful. He even defeated the All for One, the most powerful villain ever." As Izuku says this, "All for One, eh? Anyway, I want to ask you." As he says this, "Ask me what?" "Do you have, is there a place nearby that I can stay in?" As he says this, "Well, there's a motel over there, so..." Izuku says this, "Thank you." So, Izuku starts going off as Izuku sees the motel as, Izuku sees the receptionist. It's a pretty small, motel slash, apartment. As the girl says this, "Hello, welcome to our apartment slash motel. So, what do you want to do here? My name is, wait for a second. My name is Mitsuki Katsuki. I think that's her name. I kind of forgotten the name a little bit." As Izuku says this, "I made a room so I can stay in for a while." As she says this, "So you're, what are you even doing here?" As Izuku says this, "Well, I want to become a hero, so I'm maybe going to that UA High place." As she says this, "Well, my daughter is actually going to be going there, in fact." As Izuku says this, "Really? Huh, so who's your daughter anyway?" As she says this, "Well, she's a bit of a hothead." As Izuku says this, "Really? Huh. Anyway, so, how much is for the, apartment?" As she says this, "Don't worry, it's actually free." Izuku says this, "Wait, free?" As she says this, "Yeah, I think you're quite an interesting person. Not only that, you seem to be, a foreigner, so, well, I'm maybe going to give you, a freebie for now." Izuku says this, "Thank you, miss." As she says, "Mitsuki." Mitsuki, wait for a second. Mitsuki Katsuki. Izuku says this, "Alright, I'll be going off." So, Izuku starts going into, the room that he was, told that he's gonna be living in. As Izuku, opens the apartment. As Izuku sees, it's pretty clean. So, Izuku puts all of his bags in as Izuku goes onto his bed. Izuku says this. Now, it's going to be a great time here. I can't wait to become a hero and show every single, well, so called heroes that are in the top 10, well, that I'm gonna become the number one hero. So, after, well, talking to himself a little bit, Izuku goes to sleep. So, yeah, so I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. So, but before you leave, I want all of you guys to pick a ship for Izuku. Either, well, like for example, either like Bakugo or something like that. Just pick a ship, okay? So, goodbye.